I work in languages and I work in teacher training. My discipline is, in fact, training future language teachers. So there are two things that I do love in my discipline. The first is languages. Languages are essential in our world today. Languages mean that you have people who are actually creating the language, making the language evolve, who are using the language. So the people aspect for me is the important things. Languages mean that you do communicate with others, which means that if you communicate with others, you want to know about others. So that whole notion of exploring and looking for the other is all within languages. Languages is also the different ways of being. We have different languages, which means that we have different cultures, which means that we have a diversity of people, of languages, of culture, and this is what makes world interesting. But learning the languages of others means that you try to learn and to understand the culture of the other one, and also to better understand your own culture. So that whole notion of being with people, communicating with people, trying really to understand who they are, is something that I do love. This is why I love languages. But to be able to, to understand the world, we have to teach these languages. So that's why also I love my discipline of training teachers to become language teachers, how to train teachers to engage children, teenagers, adults into learning the language of the other one and communicating with the other one and understanding also their culture. So, in fact, training teachers on languages are the two things that I do love in my job. Well, there are several challenges. First, it's to truly understand the nature of language and culture. For many years, actually, we taught only languages, and we completely disconnected the language with its culture, which means disconnect the language with the people and the community who are using this language. It is now changing, but it was a big challenge, actually, to understand and to make understand our future teachers, my students, to make them understand that it's not because it's not that you are just learning a language. You are learning a language and you also have to understand the community which is speaking the language. So that was a challenge, but it's a challenge which is diminishing because in my field, in the research which is done in my field, the notion of language and culture now are always put together. So this is a good thing which is happening. The other challenge is and it's a question that a lot of my students are asking, is how can I engage my students? How can I make sure that, the little kids that I'm going to teach in primary school, elementary school, or the teenagers in high school, how can I engage them? How can I make them love to learn a language? How can I make them eager, actually, to explore the others by learning their language? So that whole notion of engagement, of motivation, is something which always comes back into the question that my students ask me. And by the way we are teaching, but also the different research on teaching and learning, of course, help us to bring a lot of answers to this question to our students. But that notion of engagement is, I think, one of the biggest challenge or question that I'm asked by my students. The opportunities are numerous. Again, the notion of and the need of learning languages and teaching languages are more and more present in our life. The world is smaller. We speak about globalization. The world is seen as a global entity. We do travel a lot. Mobility is constant in our life. Mobility because we do emigrate somewhere. Also because we receive either students, either new professionals. So that notion of mobility is a reality of our life. So mobility means that you are discovering and communicating with others. So language are something which is more and more crucial and essential. And again, that notion of being intercultural, being able to communicate and to understand that cultural diversity is something that in many professions, almost all professions, is something that is looked for in a way. So I do consider that actually the discipline that I'm teaching is more and more in demand, in fact. Before, we used to think about language teachers just in high schools or in universities. We didn't see that, somewhere in the world. We see that many professions now are really looking for different type of expertise, but the expertise of language and also the intercultural competence is something that they are looking for. So for my field, I think that we are now really, for us, it's full of opportunities. And it means that the students that I'm training have also different places where they can then work. It can be professional. I mean, the professional world, meaning the private world. It can be also the academic world, but governmental world also, because especially in Canada, I mean, we do receive a lot of immigrants, so there's a lot of associations, a lot of communities who really actually ask us to come and to work with them. So it's, yes, it's a discipline which is more and more in demand and which is richer for us also because, again, we've expanded the meaning of what language means. So.